You know that feeling, right? You studied English, you get a lot of it. Maybe reading and writing are okay. But then when it's time to actually speak, it's like, your brain just hits a wall.
Yeah, it freezes up. All that knowledge seems trapped.
Exactly. Stuck behind all those what ifs and, am I saying this right? Questions. If that sounds familiar, well, you're definitely in the right place today.
It's a frustration we hear about constantly. You really want to communicate, to connect in English.
Right.
But then this internal editor kicks in, wanting everything to be absolutely perfect before a word comes out.
It's like wanting to run a race, but thinking you need to, I don't know, perfect your warm-up stretches for 6 months first.
Exactly. You'd never actually start the race.
And that's really the core of what we're diving into today. We want to unpack why this overthinking happens. And more importantly, how you can start to, quiet that voice and just speak more naturally, more confidently.
Yeah, our mission here is really practical. We've looked at some interesting stuff on language learning, the psychology behind it.
Right.
And we want to share actionable things you can actually use.
And one of the key ideas, it seems, is that speaking is a skill. You learn it by doing.
Absolutely. It's not just about knowing rules. Think about learning to swim, right?
Right.
You can read books about floating, about strokes, but the real learning, that happens when you get in the water.
Even if you splash around a bit at first.
Yeah, exactly. You learn by splashing, by trying. Waiting for perfect knowledge before you jump in just doesn't work.
Okay, so let's really get into it then. Why? Why is this overthinking so common? What's really going on in our heads?
Well, looking at some of the research on, language anxiety, a huge factor is just this intense fear of making mistakes.
Yeah. The perfectionism thing.
Totally. Learners put immense pressure on themselves. Every single sentence has to be flawless, perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation.
Worried about sounding silly or getting corrected?
Right. But here's something fascinating. Some studies show even native English speakers make, several grammatical errors every few minutes in just casual chat.
Really? Several errors?
Yeah. So this idea of perfect speech isn't even realistic for native speakers, let alone learners.
Wow. Okay. That actually takes a bit of the pressure off right away, doesn't it?
It should. You're holding yourself to a standard that almost no one meets in daily conversation.
Okay. What's another big one? I hear about the translation thing all the time.
Oh, absolutely. The mental translation trap. Thinking everything in your native language first, and then trying to translate it word for word into English before you speak. It creates this massive bottleneck.
Like trying to have a conversation while doing mental gymnastics.
Exactly. It's incredibly taxing and just completely slows down the natural rhythm of a conversation. Fluent speakers, they tend to think directly in the target language.
They link the idea straight to the English words.
Yeah, without that extra step. It's a shift from thinking about English in your language to actually thinking in English.
That makes a ton of sense. You can feel how clunky it is when you're translating. Okay, then there's confidence. Or, well, the lack of it.
That feeling of, my English just isn't good enough yet.
Right. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it?
It really does. Some of the psychology around this shows that low confidence stops you from practicing.
And practice is the only way to get better and build confidence.
Exactly. It's a cycle. No confidence, no practice, no improvement, still no confidence.
Like refusing to go outside until the rain stops, even though going outside is how you find shelter.
Perfect analogy. And then, let's not forget, the fear of judgment.
Oh, yeah. Worrying about your accent, how you sound.
Yeah.
Maybe you had a bad experience once.
That fear can run deep, but it's so important to try and reframe the accent thing. Your accent is part of who you are, your journey.
It's not something to hide.
Not at all. And honestly, being understood intelligibility that's more about clear sounds and rhythm than having some specific native accent, people can understand many accents.
Okay, so boiling it down. We overthink because we're chasing perfection.
Right.
We're stuck in translation mode. We lack the confidence to just try.
Yeah.
And we're worried about what other people will think. That's quite a cocktail.
It is a powerful mix, but the really encouraging thing is these are mental patterns, and patterns can be changed.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we get the why. Now the crucial bit, the how. How do we start? And it sounds like step one is tackling that perfection myth head on.
Absolutely. This is fundamental. You have to break free. Some great work on language learning plateaus really highlights how chasing perfection just leads to getting stuck.
Paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. So we need to actively challenge it, say it loud. Perfection is not the goal.
Perfection is not the goal.
See that?
Seriously, it's like chasing a ghost. Even when we speak our first language, are we always perfect? Flawless grammar.
Never. Not in everyday conversation. We pause, we stumble, we correct ourselves.
So true.
Think about why we use language in the first place. It's about communication, right?
Yeah.
Getting your message across, connecting.
Being understood.
Yes. If someone understands you, you've succeeded. That's the main goal. Not whether every single verb tense was spot on.
I remember reading this interview with a learner who mentioned a friend, moved overseas, basic English, but zero fear, just talked.
Uh-huh. And what happened?
He improved incredibly fast, made friends, built a life, all while making mistakes. His willingness to just communicate was key.
That's such a great example. It shows that communication often trumps perfect correctness. People remember the connection, the effort.
More than a slightly off preposition.
Exactly. Confidence, even with mistakes, is really engaging.
And here's the slightly weird part. The more you wait for perfect before speaking,
The less you actually speak.
right, which is the one thing that actually leads to getting better. It's like wanting to drive on the motorway, but only ever practicing in an empty car park.
You'll never actually get on the motorway. It becomes this kind of avoidance tactic dressed up as being careful.
So the real key is just embrace the messiness.
Yes, be willing to make mistakes, laugh about them, learn from them, keep putting yourself out there.
Okay, ditching perfection. Got it. Now let's get really practical. What are some concrete things, like techniques we can start using today?
Yeah, these are things you can actually build into your routine, stuff grounded in practice, and some interesting linguistic findings.
Great. First one, the shadowing method. What's that about? How does it help stop the thinking?
Okay, shadowing. You listen to a native speaker, could be a podcast clip, TV show, anything, and you immediately try to repeat exactly what they say. Mimic everything. The sounds, the rhythm, the ups and downs of their voice.
Like being their echo?
Kind of. The idea is to bypass the analytical part of your brain. You're not stopping to translate or check grammar. You're just getting your mouth and brain used to the flow of English.
So less about understanding every nuance at first, more about feeling the music of it.
Precisely. It builds muscle memory for your mouth, helps you internalize natural phrasing without consciously thinking about constructing sentences.
Okay, I like that. Sounds very physical almost. What's another strategy?
Another really powerful one, you hear polyglots talk about this a lot, is actively practicing thinking in English.
Thinking in English. How do you even start doing that? My brain defaults to my native language automatically.
You start really small. Simple things. Everyday actions, like you're brushing your teeth.
Okay.
Instead of thinking the phrase in your language, just think, I am brushing my teeth. See a red car. Think, red car.
Ah, so narrating your world internally, but in English.
Exactly. Simple observations. It is sunny today. I need coffee. It trains your brain to make those direct links concepts straight to English word, cutting out the translation step.
Building those direct pathways.
Okay.
What else is in the toolkit?
This one might feel a bit odd at first, but it's incredibly effective. Talk to yourself. In English.
Okay, yeah, I can see people feeling a bit weird about that.
It's understandable. But think of it as your private practice arena. No judgment, no audience.
A safe space.
Totally. You can describe what you're doing. I am chopping onions. Plan your day out loud. First, I need to check emails, even rehearse little conversations. The beauty is there's zero pressure. You can just experiment.
That makes sense. Practice without fear. Okay, another practical tip.
Keep it simple, especially at the beginning.
Resist the urge to sound super sophisticated right away.
Please. So many learners get stuck trying to build these complex, perfect sentences, and they just freeze up.
Like trying to write a novel before you can write a paragraph.
Exactly. Start with short, clear sentences. Use words you know. I like this. He's my teacher. The weather is nice.
Master the basics first.
Yes. Build confidence with simple, clear communication. Then you can gradually add more complexity later on. It's a foundation.
Build from simple and clear. Got it. And the last strategy for today.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Just speak a little bit every single day.
Every day. Even for like 5 minutes.
Especially if it's just for 5 minutes, that makes it achievable. Talk to the mirror, record a voice note, chat with a language partner, describe your commute, anything.
Make it a habit.
Yes. Habit formation is key. Those regular short bursts keep the language active in your brain and build momentum.
Okay, 5 minutes a day feels doable. It removes that whole, I need a 2-hour study block pressure.
Exactly. Little and often is really effective for language.
Right, so let's recap those strategies. Shadow native speakers for rhythm. Think in English for everyday stuff. Talk to yourself for safe practice. Keep sentences simple initially. And speak every day, even just a bit.
Those are really practical ways to start making that shift.
But these sound like it.
Yeah.
And to really see the difference this makes, maybe we could do a quick role play.
Let's do it. Show, don't just tell.
Okay, scenario 1. I'll try a simple greeting and you be the overthinker. Let's hear that internal struggle.
Okay, ready? Takes a breath.
Hey there, how's it going?
Hesitantly. Hi. I am, fine. No, well, thank you for the asking. How about yourself? I hope things were also good for you.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. You can hear the effort, right? The pauses, the self-correction.
Yeah.
Felt quite laborious for such a simple exchange.
Exactly. That's the overthinking brain leaking out. Now let's reset. Same greeting, but this time I'll just focus on responding naturally. Communication first.
Okay, take 2. Cheerfully. Hey there, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, thanks. Just grabbing coffee. How about you?
Doing well. Enjoying the sunshine finally.
Oh yeah, it's lovely out today, isn't it?
See? Much smoother, more natural, easy flow. The language was still simple, but the focus was different.
Precisely. The goal wasn't perfection. It was just connecting, exchanging pleasantries. Even if I'd made a tiny mistake, you'd still have understood.
Yeah, absolutely. The communication happened. That really illustrates it well. Aim for that clear, confident connection, not impossible perfection.
Try it yourself. Practice those little exchanges. It really helps.
And that leads us nicely into tackling those fears that often fuel the overthinking in the first place.
Yes, because understanding the strategies is one thing, but dealing with the underlying anxiety is crucial.
That fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, it holds so many people back. We need to address them directly.
We do. They're common, they're real, but they are manageable. Let's start with that big one. Fear of making mistakes.
Okay, how do we reframe that?
We touched on it, but bears repeating. Mistakes are not failures, they are data. They're learning opportunities.
Information about what to work on next.
Exactly. Every error you notice and correct is a step forward. Think of it less like, oh no, I messed up, and more like, okay, noted. How can I say that better next time? Being tolerant of your own errors actually speeds up learning in the long run.
Okay, what about the fear of, looking silly or being laughed at? That feels quite visceral for some.
It does. And while it could happen, honestly, most people are decent. They're usually impressed that you're trying to speak their language.
They appreciate the effort.
Generally, yes. And if you do encounter someone who laughs or is unkind, seriously, that reflects on them, not on you or your English.
It says more about their character.
Absolutely. Focus on the positive interactions. And remember, confidence and that's often more engaging to people than hesitant perfection.
That's a really good point. Okay, what about shyness? For naturally introverted people, speaking a new language can feel extra exposed.
Yeah, shyness is a real hurdle. The key here is baby steps. Start in your comfort zone.
Like the self-talk we mentioned.
Exactly. Shadowing, self-talk, recording yourself. Then maybe try one sentence with a very trusted friend or language partner.
Celebrate the small wins.
Yes. Maybe this week, just say hello and thank you in English at a shop. Next week, ask a simple question. Build up gradually. It's about expanding that comfort zone slowly, not jumping into the deep end immediately.
So, for anyone listening who feels those anxieties, the fear of mistakes, judgment, shyness, know they're normal.
Super normal.
But they don't define your potential. Each time you speak anyway, you're chipping away at that fear.
You're building resilience, progress, not perfection. That's the name of the game.
All right. We have covered so much today. We've looked at why we overthink, shared some really practical strategies, and talked about facing those common fears. Let's wrap up with some final encouragement.
Yeah, if there's just one thing you take away from our whole chat today, let it be this. Please, just start speaking, now.
Don't wait for that magical day when you suddenly feel ready.
Because readiness doesn't come before you start. Readiness comes from starting. Use the English you have right now.
Confidence isn't the entry ticket to speaking, it's the result of speaking. Remember that.
Every single attempt counts. Every word you manage to get out, every little interaction, it's all building something.
You don't need perfect grammar or a huge vocabulary to begin. You just need, willingness?
Willingness to try, yeah. Consistency to keep trying, even just a little. And kindness towards yourself when you stumble.
Take a breath. Let go of the pressure. Give yourself permission to be imperfectly understood.
Perfectly put. And to help you take that very first immediate step.
We have a little challenge. A tiny one.
We're calling it the 1-minute speakeasy. Simple. For the next 60 seconds, right after this deep dive ends, just speak English.
1 minute. That's it. Talk about anything. Your day, what you learned here, the weather, what's outside your window.
It doesn't matter what. The goal is just to speak. Out loud. Let the words flow without censoring yourself.
And if you're stuck for what to say, here's a prompt. Today I listened to the deep dive and I'm going to practice speaking English for 1 minute.
You could even say that right now. Just saying it out loud is doing it. It's taking that first step.
We really hope you'll do it. Take that minute. Then maybe take another minute tomorrow.
Remember, consistent baby steps lead to huge progress over time. It's not about giant leaps.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive today.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Keep practicing, keep learning, and seriously, keep speaking.